So it probably has been more than a decade now. I had the wonderful opportunity of meeting a woman who is a rabbi, okay? Her name is Sandy Eisenberg Sasso, and she wrote this children's book. It's Creation's First Light, and I'm actually going to leave it on the table here so you can flip through it because the pages of the illustrations are just gorgeous. But she actually makes an attempt as a rabbi from the perspective of Judaism, right, to entertain what this first light might be. And so I want to share this with you. It's pretty quick. On the first day of creation, God said, "Let there be light." And there was light and nothing else. God made the sky on the second day. On day number 3, God made the seas and the land, the plants and the trees. On the 4th day, God created the sun, the moon, and the stars, but the light of the sun and the moon was different than the light of the first day. With the first day's light, you could create a whole world. The first light made possible all the other days of creation. God spread out the light like a tent for the rest of the world to see. But when Adam and Eve did not listen to God and ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, God hid that light. And ever since that time, people have been trying to find it. Some say it is hidden in the worlds of the ancient ones. And with that light, God created stories. Some say that Adam and Eve carried a small bit of light in a jewel. One generation passed the precious jewel to another until it came to Noah, who placed it in the ark. It shone there for 40 days and 40 nights. From that light, God made a rainbow. Then the light disappeared until Abraham found it, glowing in a cave. Abraham gave it to Isaac, and Isaac to Jacob. And Jacob passed it on to Joseph. And by that light, Joseph dreamed. Moses found it and placed it above the tablets of the 10 Commandments. By that light, Miriam, the sister of Moses, starward, danced. Some say that after Moses and Miriam, creation's first light was lost forever. There was only the light of the sun and the moon and the stars, but I will let you in on a secret. There are many places where you can find that light. You can see it in the middle of a huge hug. It peeks out from behind a gentle smile. You can catch a glimpse of it in a room filled with questions. It winks at you in a meadow full of memories. And if by chance you have trouble finding it, simply look into the face of a newborn baby. There it glows as brightly as it did on the first day of creation. Your great-grandparents carried that light within them. They passed it on to your grandparents gave it to your parents, then your parents took that light and passed it on to you while you were still waiting to be born. And if you look deep inside yourself, you will find that light. The light has a name. It is called the soul. When you love with all your soul, your light will help you create a new world. I thought this was as much a children's book, an adult book, right? This really points the way. Now I beg to differ on a couple of theological points here. And actually, I brought it up with Sandy when I met her. She knows that I, at the time, was a pastor in the Christian church, right? So although her tradition is not inclusive of Jesus as the Messiah, right? That's where we differ a little bit. As a preacher, teacher, and pastor, I believe this light, this first light that she speaks of, was, is, and forever will be the light of Christ. Not that Christ was created, by the way. That would be dancing on the tightrope of heresy. However, Jesus the Son was begotten. The star in the sky that shined brightly in the night, leading those wise men to Jesus, was simply a reflection of the true light that was Jesus himself. And we look to the Gospel of John and see that Jesus was this light that shined in the world before the beginning of time itself. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of all humankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness, this is another way of translating, has not overcome it. The true light that gives light to everyone was coming into the world. The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. And we, by we, I mean each and every one of us, we have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only Son who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. On Christmas Eve, if you were with me, either service, I think, didn't we light candles for both? Yeah, at the end, right? Silent Night. We sang Silent Night. We lit candles. We traditionally do that every year. I've done it in quite a few churches that I've been a part of. And this light, I first get from the Christ light, right? The Christ candle. And then we spread this light. And if you remember, when the song is finished, we actually have to extinguish the light because we do not want to set the sanctuary on fire before we all go home for Christmas, right? So symbolically, I say that even though we are blowing out this light, the light can never really be extinguished. It is only transformed because it is deep within us. And we are the light that continues to shine the light of Christ in the world. This light can never be extinguished. Even on your worst day, I promise it can never be extinguished. And we do see a glimpse of this light when we hand a carry-out meal to a stranger who is food insecure, or when we work with those who do not have access to clean laundry at Laundry Love. We do it in so many ways. This morning, on your way home from worship, after you go downstairs and have some pancakes, which I can smell now, and it is unbelievable. Can anybody else smell that? I want you to think of additional ways in which you can shine the light of Christ in the world. In your homes, in this community, in the city of Delaware, and everywhere you go. In what ways can you be the light of Christ in a dark world? You can think of all the big things in the world, but I challenge you to think of the small things because maybe they even matter most. And actually, I would love for you to even email me some of your ideas as you brainstorm throughout the week. I believe in all that the light of Christ is in a way similar to an expression of faith from, I don't know if you know him or if you've heard of him, but Christian author C.S. Lewis. He says this, now I'm going to spell this, at least a couple words. I believe that the sun, capital S-U-N, has risen, not only because I see it, but because by it I see everything else. I would just give it a different twist. I would say, if I were having a conversation with C.S. Lewis over coffee, I believe that the sun, S-O-N, has risen, not only because I see it, but because by it I see everything else. All thanks and glory and honor and power be to this tremendous gift of light that shall never be overcome.